Everybody say hydroponics.
Hydroponics.
Okay. Yes, that's right.
In the basement auditorium of a West Philly high school, a small group gathered to learn how they could grow food on their windowsills.
Again, you can soak your seeds. They will actually open. Once it opens, you can plant it in any medium you want. That's giving you freedom.
It's not just about growing microgreens, though. It's about education and empowerment. Because when you know how to grow your own food, you know how to sustain yourself. This is Gritty and Green, a podcast for truly urban gardening. I'm Meredith Nutting, your host and friendly neighborhood master gardener. Today, we are headed to the future of farming. We'll hear from one of the founders of the Black Farmers Co-op, and then answer some of your gardening questions. So, let's get growing. If you want to grow your own food in the city, you are not alone. Just try to get a space in a community garden. But don't worry, while you're on the wait list for years, you can still try your hand at growing vegetables right inside your own home. I'm talking about hydroponics. With ancient roots, it could just be the future of food production. So what exactly is hydroponics? Basically, it's growing plants without soil, hence the Greek word hydro, meaning water. There's a bit of variation around this idea. You can do something like a deep water tank, an ebb and flow, or a nutrient film technique. Those are all different types of hydroponic systems. And if you add fish to the equation by growing plants on the surface of an aquarium, you are doing aquaponics. And if you go high-tech and remove the water and opt for an aerosol mist, you are doing aeroponics. Hydro, aqua, or aeroponics, any of these can be done in your own home with limited space. So let's go back. The first mention of hydroponics was from 290 BCE in writings describing the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, with a complicated irrigation system continuously watering the plants covering the tiered monuments. The writings actually do mention the use of soil, and the gardens may have never even existed, but Babylon's Hanging Gardens are worth a mention in the history of hydroponics. Other early mentions of hydroponics are from around 1000 Common Era. From the east, we have the rice paddies in China, where the grain is grown in flooded fields. The soggy soil limits pests and weeds, allowing for greater production, and this method is still used today. And then from the west, we have the Chinampas in Mexico. Ancient Aztecs built up rafts on the surface of lakes, and then crops were planted in a mix of compost and mulch that was continuously watered by the lake below. Some of these still exist today too. But while neither of these examples are strict hydroponics because of the use of soil, they do illustrate the versatility and improved production of plants grown primarily in water. Fast forward 1,000 years, and now we have controlled environmental agriculture with vertical hydroponic towers under LED lights set for optimal growing, the perfect humidity levels controlled by AI, and robotic monitoring systems constantly testing the water and nutrient solution feeding the growing plants at all times. Fast forward a few thousand years more, and maybe we'll have hydroponic farms on Mars. But even if the future of space exploration isn't of interest to you, hydroponics is important for us Earthlings right now. Our population is growing, and we need to produce more food. But our climate is changing, and floods and drought make it harder and harder to grow food. A vertically grown hydroponic farm can produce up to 10 times more crops in the same amount of space that conventional farms use. Hydroponics also uses 10 times less water as conventional farm. It uses less fertilizers, less pesticides. It's a very efficient system. It's also an environmentalist dream. Conventional farms lose 2/3 of the 115 million tons of fertilizer due to runoff. Those fertilizers get into our waterways, causing toxic algae blooms. Conventional farms also use 1 billion pounds of pesticides that can harm the environment, wildlife, and the people that apply them. But hydroponic farms, they are a closed loop. There's no runoff, no erosion of our valuable topsoil. There's not much pesticide use, and if chemicals are used, they are minimal and inside an enclosed area. As if that wasn't enough, being able to plant hydroponically means that you can grow food almost anywhere, on a windowsill, in a basement, or in a warehouse. There's no need to cut down forests, our ever important trees, in order to plant more food. If you didn't know, we need those trees to create oxygen, hold on to carbon, and preserve our biodiversity. Being able to plant food just about anywhere means you can plant it close to where people live. Instead of traveling an average of over 1,500 miles before it reaches your plate like most of our produce, your salad could come from just a few blocks away. That not only saves us on the carbon emissions of all of those trucks, but it's also healthier. Most produce will lose 30% of its nutrients within 3 days of harvest. For example, depending on the vegetable, vitamin C in our veggies decreases 15 to 55% within a week. So eating food soon after it was picked is actually healthier for our bodies. Because of all of this, urban hydroponic farms are popping up everywhere. In Dubai, the world's largest vertical farm grows 3 tons of food a day on just over 7.5 acres. In the United States, Nate Story co-founded Plenty, with hydroponic farms in California and Virginia, informed by the Research and Development Center in Wyoming. They estimate that 250 acres of leafy greens are planted on a single city block in Compton, and that in the upcoming years, they'll be able to grow 4 million pounds of strawberries on the world's first indoor vertical farm campus. On a smaller scale, 100 Acre in Milwaukee is providing organic salad and basil to stores across the city. And the microgreens in my fridge came from Green Matter in Grays Ferry, Philadelphia. In the US, the hydroponics industry was estimated at $2.7 billion and expected to grow to over $8 billion by 2032. There are some downsides to urban hydroponic farming, though. The biggest one right now is that because they are indoors, they use a lot of energy recreating the sun. Lighting costs are high, and if you aren't using green energy to produce electricity, the greenhouse gases saved by not trucking food long distances are made up for in powering all of the LED lights you'll need. Another downside is that if one piece of your equipment fails, you could lose your entire crop pretty quickly. And then there's the evolutionary element. Plants evolved with the soil and the microbes, and we're missing the benefits of this relationship when we grow in a mostly sterile environment. But in general, if you're just trying to feed people without hurting the environment, hydroponics is looking pretty good, and we need to feed people. We are living in a growing global food crisis. We certainly have enough food, that's not the problem. It's just not in all the places that people need it. The World Food Program estimates that 343 million people worldwide are facing acute hunger. Most of those people are living in areas of conflict. The other causes of food insecurity are a sluggish economy and that folks are displaced. But the one thing that makes all of these things worse is climate change. As the world warms, more folks are displaced. There is more conflict and more economic strife, leading to more food insecurity and eventually famine. The more we can slow climate change, the better it is for people's lives around the world. Our current food systems make up about 10% of the US greenhouse gas emissions. Hydroponics has the potential to actually have a negative carbon footprint. And the ability to set up hydroponic farms just about anywhere could be a game changer when fighting famine in the short term. It already has. If you're a child of the 80s like me, you probably remember the images of the Ethiopian famine. They were heartbreaking. What caused it was a perfect storm of events, starting with reoccurring droughts, followed by failed harvests, all compounded by federal policies at the time that prevented humanitarian aid getting in. An estimated 1 million people died of malnutrition in just 2 years. This situation has nearly repeated itself in the decades since, but without the sheer devastation. And a big part of that is the humanitarian work that has been focused in the region. One of the tools that groups like UNICEF are using is hydroponic farming. Using less water and land, farmers are able to more easily feed their livestock and their families even amidst drought and conflict. So, as much as I love to get my hands dirty, I do believe that hydroponics may play a big role in human survival. The cool thing is, it's pretty easy to get started.
How you feeling?
And that's what brought me to that basement auditorium to meet with Black Farmers Co-op member Levi Jones.
I'm doing way too much.
My name is Levi Jones. I was born right here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. My inspiration for my work in ecology, environmental science, biology is self-sufficient homes.
By self-sufficient homes, Levi means everything from off-grid energy production to growing your own food.
And my inspiration for doing that was growing up in a time when things were very rough in the 80s.
Back when City Hall's William Penn was the tallest thing in Philadelphia, corruption ran rampant and the city was near bankrupt.
We're talking about lack of employment. We're talking about heavy amounts of blight, heavy government assistance. So we're seeing whole blocks vacant, whole neighborhoods vacant in some sections. So many people had to rebuild houses. Even we're talking about times when people had to even jack electricity from I'm giving you some real raw history right here. I mean, real illegal stuff too. I'm not scared of it though, because I understand it. Where people actually had to jack electric lines to survive. So people really had to find ways to take those houses, live in them, protect themselves from the elements, raise children, and rebuild their whole lives over.
While finding or creating shelter was the most pressing concern, those vacant lots and blocks also started getting used by the people that lived nearby.
It was community gardening going on heavily. The lots have been sitting there for 20, 30 years. I grew up playing in them, all of them. And we said this all the time, man, we could put some gardens, we could put some farm, grow some food, we could do so much with this space. And as soon as we put our foot on it, organically, for being living people, here comes oh, we own this. You guys are not allowed to be on it. Oh, you're trespassing. And there's a big fight. War over real estate and land.
And this is a fight that is still going for many of the surviving community gardens in a lot of the neighborhoods all across the city of Philadelphia.
So where you may have had community gardens and you had community gardens just being shut down and knocked over.
Since the mid-90s, it is estimated that Philadelphia has lost over a quarter of the 500 community gardens it once had. When you compare maps of where existing gardens are, it becomes clear that they support communities in areas with higher levels of poverty, where most households are Black, Latinx, or immigrants, and in areas where high-quality food is scarce.
This is land apartheid. You know what I'm saying? This is land war, and it's not organic. For the people who live in that environment, they should be able to say what goes on in the health of that environment, and claim the space around them, because we don't have any green space. So that's a lot of my inspiration to create new structures, new things that serve humanity.
The structures that Levi is talking about are not only literal houses and buildings that make up the city, but the systems that we have created to sustain our lives within it.
Everything we depend on comes from somewhere else. We have to start becoming local again.
And one way to get more local is to rethink how we get our food into the city.
Urban agriculture is a way for the people to create spaces and maintain spaces that support the people in those environments. So in other words, we don't have to wait for a solid to be on our plates because food didn't come in on the docks. We can still have a solid and some other foods, right, to maintain our health right here where we are. How does that change the mind state when your environment can help you versus it just being something you have to contend with and live through.
Urban agriculture isn't a new idea. Our modern day civilizations were started because people lived around farms and those communities grew and grew and grew into cities. It dates all the way back to 3,500 years before the Common Era, when small farms within the city walls provided food to the people of Mesopotamia. But it wasn't until the 1980s, when the United Nations started to show interest, that urban agriculture really hit the mainstream discussion.
A lot of people think urban agriculture is somewhat of a taboo because you have all these moving parts of the city and its metallic and organic polluting parts, so that food should not be really grown in cities. But that's not the case.
One of the biggest issues with planting food in the city is dangerous heavy metals in the soil. This is probably the number one concern I get questions about when folks are just starting out gardening. Most plants, except some root vegetables, don't take up lead and other heavy metals into their cells. The risk isn't going to be so much in eating the vegetables grown, but digging around in the soil and breathing in the dust. That is the danger. I always recommend that if you're going to be gardening, use raised beds or add layers of clean soil. So there are really easy ways to mitigate the risks of growing in an urban environment that make way for some of the massive amounts of benefits of growing our own food in the city.
Urban agriculture has also brought something else into the picture: shift in consciousness. There's a disease connected to urban existence, and psychologists and biologists know what it is. I tell my students about it all the time. Nature deficit disorder.
Nature deficit disorder is a term that describes the range of physical, psychological, and behavioral issues that come about from spending less time in nature. We particularly see this with children.
They did an experiment with urban children that come from places that basically have very little to no green space. And they put them in a very, very healthy green space and let them interact and move and breathe. And they noticed a shift in their behavior and their attitudes, and even in certain like biological indicators. So they know that it is an actual condition, nature deficit. So when you live in places that are all brick and rock, it has an effect on you. So what we do with urban agriculture, we shift that so that the environment becomes more breathing, living, and communicating. There's a child, parent, community connection that takes place in the field. This is not just a place where I run feeling, but this place actually holds other life forms. So things come to life, things become magical, especially for young children. And that also changes the way you see the world. So this work, urban agriculture, is healing cities. And that's why we fight, we move, we teach, and we produce to prove that our stand is supreme.
A lot of the work that Levi does is with the Black Farmers Co-op, an organization that connects Black farmers across the city, country, and even some parts of the world. They provide workshops and education for both urban and rural farmers. And just a really brief history before Levi tells us more, just in case you've never thought of where our modern day agricultural system came from. After emancipation, the government promised the formerly enslaved that they would get 40 acres to farm in order to give them a jump start on a new life. A year later, Andrew Jackson took it back. Starting from scratch, the number of Black farms grew to 1 million farms in the 1920s. That was about 14% of the nation's farms. But through Jim Crow laws and other systemic barriers, that number has gone down, way down. Today, the USDA estimates that Black farmers own less than 1% of the nation's farmland. Compare that to white farmers who own 95% of the farmland, and you can see the problem. There is so much more to say about that, but I just wanted to give folks a little context of the history of America's agricultural system and why networks of Black farmers are so important. Okay, back to the Black Farmers Co-op.
When you say Black Farmers Co-op, that's a lot of people. And it was a program and a goal to connect farmers from down south to the communities up north. Black farmers connecting from Jersey. That was one of the first people to join the Black Farmers Co-op, was a farmer that was in Jersey. And also to connect farmers down south. We have connections directly to the USDA. We have connections all around the country, even outside of the country. We have international connections because we also do outreach to Africa. So outreach is all the way into the continent of Africa and to the Caribbean also. One of our biggest things is to promote ecology, urban agriculture's training, as well as assisting and helping to start farms and ecology education all over the world among the Black communities. It's learning how all of us, not just learning, but supporting each other and getting production so that we can feed communities. That's the main thing.
In Philadelphia, the Black Farmers Co-op even has a couple of micro-farms that produce food.
The two main spaces we're now working with is Girardin Garden and American Original Foundation Gardens. These are the two main gardens, and then we have this school where we're building the farm at, and that's coming in the next year or so. And we're constantly working, constantly building, and just making sure we have those green spaces for the people. And again, we're working with more and more gardens all around the city, and with more members, because there's more gardens than that. Almost everybody that's in membership has some type of aspect of gardening in their background or connected to community gardens and farms. Almost everybody. So that's a blessing.
Each member contributes differently, and you can see a lot of their roles play out at one of their events. Some work with schools to steward wellness gardens.
Isn't the garden beautiful?
This is.
Is this your garden?
Yeah.
This is an amazing garden.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And some work in empty lots, creating community gardens to produce food.
So they had this vacant lot, and I was like, oh my God, that would be beautiful for our community, because the zoo is right down the street from for the garden. And I figured it doesn't make sense that the animals in the zoo eat better than the people in our community. So it was a group of neighbors. We came together and we started planting food, and we've been successful for the past 12 years.
And others use that food to feed the community.
She does our vegan food for us.
Oh, amazing.
I've been with her for decades.
You work with the Black Farmers Co-op, do you use whatever
I use whatever I can from them. They give us sweet potatoes and pumpkins and different things, so whatever they have that we can get, if they give us stuff, we use it. If we can purchase it.
When we're doing those events, we're connecting to people who want to get into gardening, who want to do botany, who want to start at home. We're helping them get the tools, resources, all the networks they need to be connected to, as well as giving them that, what I would call intellectual information support. A lot of times when people want to start off with gardening, you would think there would be a lot to support you. And it's not, believe it or not. You have, what space am I going to use? So there's a lot of learning that takes place and a lot of encouragement. Some people are interested in growing plants, but never really had a chance to learn all the different techniques of botany. So you get that type of support. And you get to also meet other people who are doing that work. So that's the beauty of what we're doing. It's a block. It's a power block, and it also helps to connect you to other people. It's nothing wrong with being independent, because it's longevity. Of course, everybody has their own expression, and of course, people want what they work for is theirs. I mean, that's about quite natural. But when you have a group together, you can pull resources in from different places. Like me as a gardener and as a farmer, there are certain things that I may not be aware of politically. There's things I'm not aware of economically, socially. And there's resources in different spaces that connect. So when you bring those pieces together, certain things happen. People learn. Just like you know, having the Black Farmers Co-op made the hydroponic program burst open.
The co-op connected Levi, who had the idea and knowledge about spreading hydroponics, to folks who knew about funding and what grants to apply for, and others who knew about different schools that might be interested. And one aspect of the hydroponics program is to hand out kits to families and teach them how to use them.
Everybody say hydroponics. Hydroponics. Okay. Yes, that's right. And hydroponics is the art of growing plants in water. And there's many different things you can do to grow plants in water. You can use different mediums. Everybody say mediums. Mediums. So soil, of course, is our first and primary medium.
We have 3 different types of mediums to grow in, so people can choose. Some people like still using cocoa coir, which is a soil type stuff. It's not really soil, it's a filler. And it's from coconuts, like I always tell everybody. It's crushed, pounded coconuts, shells. And then you can use the sponges if you so choose to. You can even use sand. You can use the leca stones and put the seeds in, you know, have them in containers, let everything begin to soak up the water. You know, your seeds can soak up that water, begin to break its shell and begin its process, so you don't have to have a big gigantic yard even. You know, if you just had the lights or a room that had a lot of light, you could still start that process.
Levi has handed out between 60 and 100 of these little hydroponic kits to get people started. But he has also done longer programs in schools and with the Juvenile Justice Center.
They loved it. The young people were amazed. The young brothers were amazed. People are pulling on. Everybody's getting into it. It's growing. It's growing because you can, you know, everybody's learning to see the roots go down into the water, and they're amazed by it, which is good. So they can learn about where their food comes from, what you depend on. This is the miraculous work by nature that produce what you depend on. So it's growing, it's moving.
The cool thing about teaching kids hydroponic farming as opposed to outdoor soil-based farming is that you can start the plants indoors in the winter and actually get to the harvest stage within the semester. And they can see it growing right there in their classroom.
Now we have stuff actually growing in cups, and they're seeing it actually grow roots down into the water. So they're excited. We are all excited. Now we're going to go into hydroponic microgreen growing, so that we can actually eat. We can incorporate what we're eating, what we're growing, into what we're eating.
And of course, the lessons learned through gardening are much bigger than the seedlings the kids are growing.
And that's one of the things about agriculture. There are times when things don't always go through, and you find out it has nothing to do with you, right? It's just that certain factors didn't line up. You just keep going. Try again, and don't give up. So what we teach is sometimes we may not get it right. Keep on studying, keep on going. And then when you get it right, it's over. Just seeing that aspect of life just starting in front of you. You become addicted to it, you know? And so that's another thing that happens with gardening. There's a lot of life lessons.
Both the life and botany lessons are just one part of learning how to create a more sustainable future.
Agriculture takes a lot of water, and we're talking about producing for a planet. We're talking about producing for a population. So one of the things we have to start looking at is smart growth, right? Smart use of resources. Soil, believe it or not, is not the most abundant element on the planet. The most abundant element is water. Yeah, and that includes the ocean water also. Because believe it or not, you can do hydroponics in ocean water. And in that water, we can spark more plant life and grow more plants than ever. And let the planet regenerate its soil qualities. And let the planet regenerate, period. That means all the things that we have taken out of the planet, we can put some of those things back into it and let it go through its cycles. Water can keep on flowing with minerals in it and not strip anything. It's a matter of flow, sunlight, and structures. And so you can have farming constantly going on in places where you can't grow food.
Growing food hydroponically may give the earth a chance to naturally replenish the soil that traditional farming has stripped bare. By allowing the natural cycles of growth and decomposition that created the nutrient-rich topsoil in the first place, Levi sees hydroponics as a way to give the earth a break, to heal while still feeding people.
Then you have, the other thing is that majority of the world's population live in urban areas. They don't live in rural sections. But these urban areas are the most consumptive. They have the least amount of land to grow on, but they have the highest levels of consumption. More local production of crop can take place in the cities versus overbearing the burden on high-tech farming, which is now taking a beating because of the amount of droughts that is taking place in the world. And matter of fact, we've experienced it ourselves in this year, growing. We was waiting for some rain to come and it just wasn't coming. So the hydroponics definitely showed us what was king this year in the grow world. So that's the benefits. You can grow right in your basement. You can grow in your kitchen. You can grow on your ceilings. You can grow anywhere with hydroponics, because again, it's just a matter of water and having the right conditions. One of the things I want driven home is the importance of the presence of communal production. We have to produce where we are. That's in whether it's urban agriculture and the foods, which we love, of course, but also even going further, Ivan will go into talking about free energy, water purification, all those self-sufficient practices.
We are at a point in our history where we've lost our communities. We've lost our confidence in knowing how to do the things we need to be self-sufficient. And to get us through the next chapter, we need to be building both of these back up. I think that gardening is a gateway to that. It builds community, it builds trust in others, it builds trust in yourself, and it gives you the confidence to look at the systems we have in place and wonder, can we do better?
It's not an idea, it's not just a concept anymore. It is a must. I think that's if anything come from this dialogue, I hope that stands out the most.
That was Levi Joines, member of the Black Farmers Co-op. If you want to learn more about their network and events, you can visit their website, blackfarmerscoop.org, or follow them on Instagram and Facebook. I'll put those links in the show notes. So now let's get to some of your garden questions. Recently, I led a neighborhood workshop about seed starting, and some often asked questions popped up about how to start seeds in your home. So I thought I would just give a little bit of an overview primer. Seed starting is both incredibly simple and complex at the same time. The whole idea is that plants have stored their genes in a little capsule with enough food to get it started, surrounded by an armor that protects it from the elements until it is ready. Plants produce hundreds, if not thousands, of seeds each season in hopes that just a few make it to maturity. At home, we're hoping that every seed we put into the soil germinates and grows into a large, healthy, mature plant in our garden. So we tend to be a little hard on ourselves when it doesn't work out. All seeds need just 3 things to germinate: water, oxygen, and the right temperature. Some seeds also need light, while others need darkness. Others require a cold period, and a few require a cold and then a wet and then a cold period in order to germinate. But most of the seeds we plant just need water, oxygen, and the right temperature, and that's easily reproduced in our homes. Setting up an easy seed starting station just requires a container with drainage, a medium like soil, water, and eventually light. A sunny windowsill will do. If you want to get fancy, you can use a heating mat to get the soil at the optimal temperature for germination, and then grow lights for the perfect lighting conditions for your baby plants to grow. For the biggest chance at success, you'll want your seeds to germinate, grow into healthy plants, and then get out of your house in the shortest amount of time without rushing them. The longer they're in your house, the higher the risk of things like gnats, fungus, and disease to set in. So I have some tips to get your seeds to germinate quickly. The first thing is to make sure you aren't planting seeds that need a cold period. Those are often native plants and wildflowers. If you look them up and discover that they do, don't fret. Hopefully you figured that out early enough in the season. Get a paper towel damp, lay the seeds on it, fold it up and put it in a plastic bag or a glass jar, something that will hold the moisture in, and then pop it in the fridge for 4 to 6 weeks. That's called a cold stratification. If you are pretty late in the season, you could just hold on to those seeds and plant them in the fall for blooms next year. The winter will provide them with a natural cold stratification. If you're trying to plant a thick-coated seed, like beets, nasturtium, or kale, for example, you can give the seed coat a little scratch so that the water will penetrate the seed and get the process of germination started more quickly. You can do that by rubbing the seeds with sandpaper or even scratching them gently with a knife. That's called scarification. But if you have delicate seeds like tomatoes or peppers, you'll want to just give them a soak. In fact, all of these seeds would benefit from a good soak for 24 hours. Put them in a cup with water and let them sit for a day before planting them in the soil. Another way to do this is with the paper towel method, just like we did with the cold stratification. Damp a paper towel, spread the seeds out on it, fold up the paper towel and put it in a plastic bag or something that will keep the moisture in, and then leave them on a sunny windowsill. This will keep the seeds in constant moisture. Check them every other day or so until you see them starting to pop out a little root, and then take them gently and plant them in your medium of choice. Another way to encourage germination is to make sure that the temperature is right for the seeds you are planting. Cold-loving crops like lettuce and kale like soil temperatures around 60 degrees, while hot weather crops like tomatoes and peppers need much warmer soil temperatures around 80 degrees. You can use a heating mat or just try to find a place in your home that is around the right temperature. Seeds won't need light until they germinate, so you can focus on the best conditions for germination and then move the seedlings to a brighter location when they need to start making their own food. I hope that gives you a little information about how to start seeds in your own home. And if you want to do a deeper dive into the world of seeds, how to start them, how to save them, check out my episode from last year with Owen Taylor all about seeds. If you have a garden question of your own, write or send me a voice memo at grittyandgreen@coolgoonproductions.com. Thank you so much for joining me into the wet world of hydroponic farming. And a very special thanks to Levi Joins, Amanda Ayala, and Dr. Carol Simmons from the Black Farmers Co-op. Again, if you want to learn more about the Black Farmers Co-op and their work around Philadelphia, check out their website, blackfarmerscoop.org, and find them on Instagram and Facebook. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode of Gritty and Green. And don't forget to tune into Gritty and Green by the Moon to learn how to garden by the phases of the moon. Gritty and Green is presented by Green Philly in collaboration with Cool Goon Productions. It was written, directed, and edited by me, Meredith Nutting. Theme music by Kazuya. If you want more information about local sustainability, go to greenphl.com.